Call to order the City of Douglasville's legislative work session, which for today, which is Thursday, September the 14th. We'll have our invocation that will be led by Travis Landrum, our Parks and Recreations Director for the City of Douglasville. And after that, our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem, Councilman Larry Ayaki. So please stand for the invocation.
May we bow our heads? Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to be servant leaders on behalf of the City of Douglasville and the citizens. We ask for a special prayer and blessing on our mayor and our city council, that they make just and sound decisions with the best interests of the city at hand. Father God, we ask you please bless the items discussed on the agenda today and moving forward for the city. And we also ask a special prayer and blessing for those that are impacted by the hurricanes as they continue to put their lives back together, keep them uplifted with the understanding that even in the wake of tragedy, that we're still blessed. This prayer in your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we appreciate the prayer and invocation, Mr. Landrum, and we indeed are thankful for our blessings and continue to pray and lift those up who have been affected by the hurricanes. We'll go through the announcements and presentations for this afternoon or this evening. For this legislative work session, I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's legislative work session. This is a work session where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on the items discussed tonight on Monday at 6 p.m. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from Citizens and Delegates section for you to discuss your business. There are just a few protocol items I'd like to go over so that we'll all be on the same page and there won't be any misunderstanding on how the meeting will be conducted tonight. I'll ask that you keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make their decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or groups of individuals. Only one person will be speaking at a time. Please do not applaud, react to speakers, or speak from the audience, cheer, or carry on conversations that might be disruptive to the meeting. If you are here to discuss one of the agenda items, we'll ask that you would come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and then address the council. There are some forms that you should have filled out on the table if you'd like to speak, and you hand that form to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Ackert, and we'll invite you to come and talk at that time. Agenda items will be handled as follows. The committee chair will read the agenda item. The person representing that agenda item or the applicant will come forward and do their presentation. The mayor, myself, and council members will probably ask questions for clarification just to have an understanding of what the agenda item is. Those speak in opposition will be given 30 minutes. Each person has a 5-minute time frame that you can speak. There'll be 30 minutes max. We'll have those in opposition and those that are in favor of that agenda item. Again, when you come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. If you have some electronic devices, your phones, iPads, cell phones, all of that, please put those in silent mode at this time so that they will not be disruptive, or turn those iPads and social media stuff off at this time. Okay, we'll go through the committees. The first committee is Public Safety Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis. Okay.
My microphone, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
There you go.
Heard. Have a couple items. Items A, request for a change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverage license for the premises sale and consumption of wine and malt beverages, spiritual liquor at the following establishment: Licensed Rare Hospitality International, INC, Longhorn Steakhouse of Douglasville. Location 8471 Hospital Drive. Proposed agent outlet manager Bruce Fountain. current agent outlet manager, Bradley Chusky. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. And the required fees has been paid into the finance department. Will the person, individual that's in charge of the, come down and, state your name and how you doing this evening?
Awesome, thank you. Bruce Fountain on Longhorns at 8471 Hospital Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is a renewal, right?
Correct, it's a change of managing partnership. So
Okay, good.
Brad is transferred to another restaurant, so I'm here in Douglasville. I've taken over the responsibility of managing partner.
Okay, good. Do any of the council members have anything to?
How long have you been a manager?
Of this restaurant or in the business?
In general?
35 years.
35 years, okay, so you know the rules of the city of Douglasville. Okay, and in your associates or I guess the waiters and waitresses, they understand also?
Absolutely.
Okay, do they have monthly, annual training, or how did it go about that?
Well, anyone new hire is trained. I know last year I talked to David Mackey, who's the service manager. Anyone that because we've been around for 28 years, they actually retrained everybody last summer, and we'll do it annually. And then David's been very good also about the liquor permits, that if anyone gets close to their timeline of when the permit, he puts them up a month ahead of time, give them the time. If they don't make it to get their permit done, they get pulled off the schedule until it gets done. So they great systems. I've only been there for a few months, but they're very aware of their responsibility, which I love.
Very good, thank you, that's all I have.
Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And so, Mr. Fountain, about IDs and checking for drinking age, how is that done? Do they check the license? Is there something that will generate from your computer, from the register, or how does that work?
They check the license. The date on every computer will have the date of birth they're looking for, so there's not a question for a server to know what the right date is.
Yes, sir.
So it gives their constant reminder. Anyone that has any question about anyone that's either doesn't have one or that has one that's expired or not valid, it goes to a manager and we go visit and we explain to them that it's one of the items that we just can't take. I've had them where it's even the paper ones for Georgia that it's without the right license and date, we don't take them.
Yes, sir.
We can still
Thank
eat.
you.
We feed you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fountain. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do anyone else from the council? Coach, Mark? Well, young man, thank you for coming out, and I'm sure you'll see the chief and I in there all the time. So we ought to get an award sometime.
Absolutely.
I know.
No. But come back on Monday, and thank you a lot, okay?
All right, thank you.
You have something to say? Come on.
With the finance department, just wanted to let you guys know that he will not be able to attend on Monday. He is in training with Longhorn. And I spoke with Vicki Acker today earlier to make sure that it was okay that I was able to attend on his behalf, since he would not be able to be here and he would be out for training. So,
Vicki had, told me today.
okay,
I told her I think that'll be fine.
okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and I'll be here
Thank you,
Monday.
Brandy.
Thank you, and see you on Monday. A representative. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item, request for alcoholic beverage license on the premises sale consumption for the on-premises sale and consumption of wine and malt beverage at the following establishment: Licensing Blue Rose Art Bistro LLC, DBA The Blue Rose Art Bistro, location 6774 West Broad Street. Proposed agent outlet manager, Nathaniel Jones. Required fees have been paid into the finance department. Will the applicant please come down?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Jones, Blue Rose Art Bistro, located on 6774 West Broad Street in Douglasville, Georgia.
Mr. Jones, is this your first establishment with alcohol, or?
Yes, it is, but I also managed a bar down in Miami for 2 years.
So you knew the regulations and rules here in our city?
Absolutely. We've gone over the rules and regulations, and we understand them clearly.
You have a program in place for employees?
Yes, sir. We have a training manual that we went over with all of the employees. Our bartenders are actually already certified and licensed to serve And we plan to have monthly meetings to make sure everybody understand what we're doing.
Okay, council?
I had a quick question, Mr. Chairman. Did you have something, Mrs. Eagle? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I was just going to ask Mr. Jones just to give us a brief synopsis of what the Blue Rose Art Bistro is. Is it like sip wine and sip, like you're drawing something and you sip wine? Or how does that-
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
just talk to us about that.
We do have painting parties, sip wine events. We also offer art classes for adults and children. We also open.
No wine with the children, you know. No wine with the children.
Absolutely. It's actually, no, it's actually, the art classes are actually going to be located in the back of the business, so they'll be
Okay.
nowhere near the bar. The actual places that we actually do business in the front. So the art classes are located in a different area in the building.
Okay. Is there still a food ratio with wine? Is that a requirement that we have? So you understand about that
Yes,
food to
51,
alcohol
49.
ratio?
Yes, ma'am. 51% food, 49% alcohol.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Chairman?
I've seen the pictures on Facebook, and it looks amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
excited to see a concept such as this coming to downtown Douglasville. I think it'll do well here. I hope it'll do well here.
Thank you
And
very
I
much.
especially want to thank you for choosing Douglasville for opening your business. I know you have a choice of locations when somebody opens a business, and if they choose Douglasville, that makes me feel good. So
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And the color of that blue rose just pops out. I like that.
Mhm.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
What type of menu do you have?
Well, I have a copy of our menu. We basically are doing salads and sandwich wraps, chicken wraps, finger foods. We're not doing actually any cooking. So all of it will be prepared there at the facility, and that's what we're offering,
Okay,
and
right.
various salads.
thank you. That's it?
Anybody else? All right, okay, we have any other councilman, just come back on Monday, if you will, and we have a decision on Monday, okay?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank
Yes,
you very
sir,
much.
thank you for coming out.
Wait,
and,
welcome to Douglasville.
Thank you.
We'll be stopping in.
Mhm.
Okay, that's, Madam Mayor, that's all I have at this time, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to Planning and Development Committee, and that's also chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have several items tonight to discuss. We'll start by item A, holding a public hearing and consider a request to amend the DCD concept plan for Brookmont subdivision to reduce the front yard setback requirement on the south side of the property a distance of 15 feet from the required 35 feet for a principal structure in an R3 base zone for a required front yard setback of 20 feet for 0.52 acres at 5268 Brook Hollow Drive in land lot 77, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 100, application by Jeremy Bice. Someone here to represent the applicant? Mr. McCullough. How are you this evening, Aaron?
I'm good, Councilman. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Name and address for the record?
Name is Aaron McCullough. Address is 6554 East Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia.
Appreciate that. As you know, this is a public hearing, so we will give you time to present the application as you need, and then we will give time for anyone else that might have either pro or con opinions of this application. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilman. I do want to note that this item 7A and the successive item 7B, I will be here for that one as well. So if you wanted to do those consecutively or together, either one is fine with me. I'm coming before the council tonight essentially asking for a building setback reduction on lot 202 Brookmont subdivision. If the council recalls, a few months ago we did this very same thing or very similar thing on two lots adjacent to this lot. The concept on those two lots were to push the house to the rear of the lots and then grant the setback, the rear setback, and a stream buffer variance. Due to the configuration of the stream, this one needs to go to the front of the lot. So we're asking for a front setback reduction and also a stream buffer reduction as well in the next item.
we'll read that next item once we have completed the public hearing for this one, since we do need to have
Thank
public
you, sir.
hearings separate for them. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron. Anyone else here to speak in approval or for approval of this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this item? Okay, before I close the public hearing, then I'll open the floor for council or for Madam Mayor with any questions that they may have.
I don't have a question. Well, I do have a question. Is the house that I'm seeing here in our packet, is that the type of house that's going to be built on that?
I believe you'll find that that house was one that was adjacent to or very near to the property from the understanding that I had. This is on Brook Collar Drive, which is the main thoroughfare going through Brookmont. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Councilman Yaki, the question was the house shown the house that is planned to be built?
Yes.
Well, it just shows adjacent home to the south is what that is. I think you'll see the label there. So that is an example, I would assume, of the type of housing, but I don't know that you have a picture of the home that is planning to be built there. Is that correct, Mr. McCullough?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just,
Mis-
I was
Council-
just trying to get a feel for what the house was going to, kind of look like, and I was just wondering if that's the type of structure that you're going to be able to possibly see in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool. That's all I wanted.
Anyone else? Okay. Mr. McCullough, I did have a question about the plat. It looks as though this is on a corner lot, and it is going to be extremely close to Brook Hollow Drive in order to get that variance down to 20 feet of front. That is a major thoroughfare through there. Is that the plan that you've given us? That's the plan that they anticipate that they want to build, and that is conducive to or comparable to the other homes on that street. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I don't know that there are any homes on that street that are within 20 feet of the right-of-way.
Right.
We're requesting, but yes, they are all facing Brook Hollow Drive, just as this one is. The same,
Okay,
in a similar fashion.
All right, and in a note here, this appears that the rendering or the site plan would show this to be a side drive, side entry, so it would actually enter, the garage would be entered from the side street, which I believe is called Gallatin Run. So it's not a front drive with just a 20-foot driveway, it's a side drive.
That is absolutely correct, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure. Any other question or comment? Okay, we'll close the public hearing on that item, and we'll return on Monday night at 6 o'clock for a final decision on that, okay? Thank you, Mr. McCullough. I'll go to item B, Madam Mayor. Let's hold a public hearing and consider a request for a variance to reduce the 50-foot required minimum setback for regulated activities from the bank of a regulated stream in the Anawake Creek Watershed Protection Overlay District of Zoning Code subsection 3.22.04C1E for a variance of 25 feet on the northeast side of the property for a remaining required buffer of 25 feet to allow construction of impervious surface not closer than 25 feet to the stream, to eliminate the 25-foot additional stream buffer required in Zoning Code subsection 3.85.02 for a variance of 25 feet, leaving no buffer area required by this subsection, to allow impervious cover at the same location, and to reduce the additional 50-foot undisturbed natural vegetative stream buffer requirement of Zoning Code subsection 3.85.01 for a variance of 25 feet for a remaining buffer requirement of 25 feet, to allow development activity on the south side for 0.52 acres at 5268 Brook Hollow Drive in land lot 77, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 100, application by Jeremy Bice. Mr. McCullough, would you address yourself or identify yourself again for this item, please, and give us name and address for the record?
Yes, sir, Councilman. Aaron McCullough, 6554 East Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. What can you tell us about the application, this part of it? I understand it's a two-part process for the amendment of the DCD, but also the variance to do away with some of the stream buffer. Tell us about that.
So the stream buffer portion, essentially, because of the required buffers in the city, and again, this was a stream that was unplatted when Brookmont was developed. And it's come to our attention that there is a stream located on these three lots. So as such, when we apply the buffers to that stream, these lots with the city's buffers are pretty much unbuildable, and to meet the current regulations. So that is why we're asking for the reduction of the city buffer, but not the state buffer, to fit the house footprint within those confines.
So we're not intruding upon the state set minimums, but you are asking for a variance away from the additional city buffer.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask you, the city, the 50-foot buffer, why did they add 25 feet to the state buffer?
I have no idea why the city's ordinance requires an additional 25 feet. Mr. Watts, I just know that we have at times been asked to reduce the hours back to what the state minimum is.
Yeah.
I believe that was just an additional protection. That's the only way that I would know to answer it. I'm not answering it with any authority. Madam City Manager, would you know anything further than that, or could you help us?
No, sir. I think where you're headed is correct, but to say the exact history of why the ordinance was changed that way, I cannot say.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application in this public hearing? If not, is there anyone here to speak against this application? All right, I'll open the floor for questions from council for Mr. McCullough. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and Mr. McCullough, if you'll come back on Monday night at 6 o'clock, we will take this item up for a vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Let's see. Next item, C. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a church or place of worship for property zoned IL Light Industrial District for .3 acres at 7254 Bankhead Highway, land lot 191, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 2, application by Spoken Word Evangelistic Church. And I'm assuming, sir, you are representing this application. Would you give us your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. My name is Shelley Cran Jr. I live at 6222 Millstone Trail, Douglasville, Georgia.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being here. This being a public hearing, we'll give you the opportunity to present any information that you would like at this time.
Okay. My church is interested in opening up a church at this address and on Bankhead Highway. We want to buy a building, and we're ready to do that, and we just need your approval to have a church in this location, and we're ready to go forward. So we've got a zoning approval. We've come here to City Council to follow city ordinance, and upon your approval, we're going to go on and purchase this building.
Okay, so your request would be for the special land use permit prior to purchase, but you would become the owner. You would not be a tenant. Is that correct?
No, I'm actually going to be a guarantor for this building. It's going to be owned by the Spoken Word Church.
So the church would be the owner of the building and
Church
not
would
a
be
tenant?
the owner, yes.
Okay, okay. Any other information? Anyone else, anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Thank you, sir. If not, is there anyone to speak in opposition?
One, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
One person in.
Someone to speak in opposition, please come forward.
Forward.
Oh, in favor. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. I could not see you for the speaker. I'm sorry.
That's Sister Dennis.
Pastor Lula Crayon. I'm Pastor Lula Crayon. I am the pastor of Spoken Word. We are presently in Villarica at 250. What's that? 200B Old Liberty Road, but we moved because we've been renting there and they don't want to sell the property. We would have stayed there. However, our realtor found this property, and it's small enough for us because we're a very small church, but we do render services to senior program. We do a food program, and we have an after-school tutorial and to help the youth. And we're kind of in the project area. We didn't want to move too far away. We wanted to get something that would be accessible for those elderly and others to come.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate you. Is there anyone that would have, I think I've already asked this, but I'll ask again, any opposition to this application? If not, I'll then ask the council, do they have any question or comment for the applicant? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And if you'll come back on Monday night, we'll take a vote on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. Item D. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for personal services massage only for property zoned O and I Office Institutional District for .61 acres at 8305 Office Park Drive in land lot 51, District 1, Section 5A, Parcel 84. Application by Soretta Crutcher. Someone here to represent this application. Okay. Is there anyone here that has came to the meeting to speak in favor of this application or in opposition? Okay, we'll close the public hearing then and take that up on Monday night, I assume. Is that, council? Is that okay?
I had a quick question, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman. Ms. Wright, just wanted to ask if they made a commitment or if they called to say they couldn't come or something, if they understood they were supposed to come before the council.
Yes, they did, and she did attend the zoning board meeting, but I'll make sure I'll give her a call and that she will be here at 6 o'clock on Monday. And also for your information, it is a renewal.
I was going to ask that. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wright. So this is a renewal of their special land use permit. Okay, then we will try again on Monday night. Okay. I'll go to item E, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a church or place of worship for property zone CBD, Central Business District, for .55 acres at 6610 East Broad Street in land lot 17, District 1, Section 5E, Parcel 32. Application by Michael Wood. Someone here to represent the applicant? Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Come forward and state your name and address for the record and give us your information, please, sir.
My name is Minister John H. Douglas, Jr., and I'm here to represent my pastor, Pastor Mike Wood. And
could you give us your address for the record,
yes,
please, sir?
Okay. 3475 Judge Bob's Court, Villa Rica, Georgia.
Thank you, sir.
We have been planted in this community for about a year. In fact, next week we will be celebrating our first year here in Douglasville. And our focus has been to help our community understand the meaning and need for disciples, and for those who are willing to follow Jesus and those who are willing to win souls. 2 years ago, the good Lord laid on my heart to go out and win souls. And so my first question to most people, to break down the barrier, because I don't know them, I asked them, do you know what a jawbone breaker is? And that is to give me the opportunity to ask the most significant question. Do you have a relationship with Jesus Christ? And from that point on, we have an opportunity to either do the sinner's prayer, or in those who have a relationship, say a few words, hopefully, that would encourage them. But our main focus also is to help our community to really understand what it is to witness for Jesus Christ, how to deliver his evangelistic messages with scriptures, and how to testify by giving not by preaching, but by sharing your own personal relationship with him. And we currently now serve about between 15 and 20 bags of groceries to the needed in our community. We meet have Bible studies on Fridays from 7 till 8. And of course, our services are every Sunday from 10 to 11:30. If I'm not out of place, I would like to share with you this magazine, or booklet that our pastor published.
If you would, sir, when you complete your time, just hand that to the city manager there, and then she will distribute that to the council. Anything else you'd like to say concerning your application for renewal?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application for renewal? If not, is there anyone to speak in opposition to this item? If not, then I'll open the floor to the council for any comment or question of the applicant. Mr. Siegel?
Not a question, just a comment. It says 66 East Broad Street, but I think we're all familiar with this building. It actually faces on Church Street. The one parcel has two buildings on it. One faces towards Church, one towards Broad.
You stole my thunder, Mr. Siegel. I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. So I read your mind is what I did.
Really?
So
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Anything else? Sir, would you be so kind? I did not write it down, and you're not Mr. Wood. Would you be so kind as to give me your name again?
John Douglas, like Douglasville.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has a comment concerning this? All right, I'll close the public hearing on the item, and we will hear this again on Monday night if you'll come back, Mr. Douglas, for that meeting at 6 o'clock. We'll take a vote on it. I would like to say that I've had the opportunity to have a discussion with Mr. Douglas in the last couple of months. Now that I see him and he has begun to speak, he had asked me that very question with a huge smile on his face in a restaurant with family and friends. And I like your approach. Thank you for what you do.
Just want to close with this, that my goal every day, and as well as our fellowship, is to talk to people we don't know. And I've spoken to more than 4,000 people within the last 2 years. And of those 4,000, more than 50 has either repented or received Jesus as Lord of their lives.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have under that committee. We're finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight in Parks and Rec. To authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Select Company to develop Parks and Recreation 10-year master plan. The mayor and council has had two presentations, or been sat in on two presentations, one by Cornerstone Consulting and the other one by Lowson Associates. So I just would like to open it up now for any discussion on or questions about either company.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say they were both great presentations, and I know you have solicited comments and recommendations from the council, and so whatever company you decide will be in great hands. I know you have a great recommendation, and I think that we're very excited to see the Parks and Recreation 10-year master plan, to see some things change in the community and just enhance our park system and let the park system be cohesive in the entire city of Douglasville, so it doesn't matter which park you're attending, it looks like the city of Douglasville parks are married to each other.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I just, a comment that I have is just kind of going off on what the mayor was saying, that this is a project that is well worth the time and effort, and whoever we pick is definitely going to make Douglasville better. And so I appreciate the time and effort that we have put in this. And yes, it's going to cost some money, but in the long run, it's going to provide us with continuity between the parks and all of our parks. So it's just, there's just not two out there. There's multiple parks out there. So so that definitely is this is a great plan.
I just would like to say in closing that we want the citizens of Douglasville to know that we're serious about what we have to offer as a city, and the Parks and Recreation is right up there with what we want to do to improve what we have to offer to the city. So anyway, we will come back and make a recommendation on Monday night one of the two companies.
Okay.
So I don't have anything else, Madam Mayor, under Parks and Rec tonight.
Thank you so much, Chairman. We'll move on to Finance Committee, and that's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Larry Yockey.
Yes, I have I have several items. I'm going to cover A through F, and then Item G, I'm going to hand off to our Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, Richard Siegel. So the first item I have is adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2016-2017 general fund budget. And Karen Callan is going to walk us through some of these items here.
Karen Callan, Finance Director, 6695 Church Street. This is our fiscal year 17 budget amendment. I'll briefly go over the highlights we discussed in detail during the committee meetings earlier. We had budget amendments for a lightning strike, distribution of our Christmas bonus. We had property insurance. We saved money on our general liability property insurance of $143,000, but we did go over $113,000 in our deductible line item. This budget amendment brings our budget in line with our legal level of control for fiscal year 17. The net effect is zero. All the expense line items increase or decrease to net to zero. Any questions on the fiscal year 17 general fund budget amendment?
Just to let the audience know that we did cover this in our committee meeting just prior to this meeting, so we've asked a lot of questions during that time period. So if there's any more questions, this is the appropriate time to ask them. Okay, the next item is adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2017-2018 general fund budget.
This is the first budget amendment for fiscal year 18. We are increasing revenues for property taxes for our millage rate adoption recently, and also to bring forward items that were approved in the budget in fiscal year 17 that were not yet purchased. They will be purchased in fiscal year 18. Expense briefly on some of the expenses that we are approving or in this budget amendment. We have Jacobs Consulting contract for our code rewrite in the amount of $423,109. Radio tower generator, a tractor. And we are also moving employees from our courts department to our support services department, and moving employees from our police administration department to our courts department. The total increase is $596,158.54. Any questions on our general fund budget amendment fiscal year 18?
Hearing none, we're going to go on to the next item then. That is to adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville fiscal year 2017-2018 enterprise sanitation fund budget.
This budget amendment is to increase our vehicle line item for an automated garbage truck in our sanitation fund. Any questions on our sanitation fund budget?
Okay, the next item is adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2017-2018 SPLOST fund budget.
This is our first SPLOST fund budget amendment in fiscal year 18. There were a savings of $35,410 in the greens conversion. That money will be placed in a line item to purchase a cart path. Any questions on the SPLOST fund budget amendment?
Mr. Chair, Ms. Callan, that money is to be put in a line item to improve the cart paths?
Yes, I think, and excuse the terminology, but yeah, I believe it is cart path improvements.
Cart path improvements with the money that was left over from the greens improvements that we did not use, that we were under budget on that, correct? That was my explanation in committee.
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that our listening audience understood we weren't purchasing a cart or cart path, so to speak. We were improving or repairing those. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item is adopt an ordinance to amend subsection 2-154.9.b of the administration ordinance to raise to $25,000 the maximum amount for which the city manager may contract on behalf of the city.
City Manager Marcia Hampton, will you be handling that item, or?
Sure you don't want to handle it, Ms. Dowling? Sorry. Yes, this is an ordinance that allows the discussion of increasing the city manager's spending authority from $5,000 to $25,000. This enacts an administrative ordinance to allow that change.
This goes along with the charter change that we have later in the agenda, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Correct. Any,
We've had several discussions about this, and this is just reflecting the conversations that we had and how we mirror other municipalities of our same size in the spending power for the city manager.
correct. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. The next item, approve the payment of a reimbursement of travel expenses for all elected city officials for attendance at the National League of Cities City Summit in Charlotte, North Carolina on November 15th through the 18th, 2017.
Yes, sir. This item includes the National Leagues of Cities Conference. As you know, as part of an administrative ordinance that approves travel and training for the elected officials, there's specified training that's allowable to each of you all. The mayor has a different set of training that's allowable for the mayor's position. The National Leagues of Cities is an allowable training for the mayor's position, but not for council members. I've had some requests from some of the council members to attend this training. If you don't know what the National Leagues of Cities is, it's an organization of other municipal associations like GMA. The GMAs of the world come together to the National Leagues of Cities conference. This year is being held in Charlotte, North Carolina, and to allow for those elected officials who are requesting to attend the training, you all would have to approve for attendance to this training. So that's why that you see this on your agenda.
Any comments or questions from the council?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I was going to ask with this item and the following one, if we, I know we specified when we changed the ordinance and we listed training facilities, if we could really transition to the budgeted amount for the city council member or myself, rather than look at individual training as long as it stays within the budget. But that's just open for discussion, and it would go under training and education. But we wouldn't have to come before the council to approve an accredited training opportunity if it isn't listed, just because it isn't listed on the training list.
Well, the way the ordinance is written is there is a list of pre-approved items, that anything that's not on the list of pre-approved items would have to come before the council. So what you're suggesting would be a change in the ordinance.
Yes, or
that
we can
just
have
changed.
or we can have an addendum to, it can be a list of training and in addition to something that is accredited. For example, National League of Cities is well respected, I mean, all over the country, but it isn't on the list of trainings, and if that council member doesn't go outside of their training budget, you know, we have to keep coming before council to get approval to go to a training that's an accredited training.
Madam Mayor, I would love to see it change, the ordinance change on the education, because I would like for each council member to be able to get with the city manager and, you know, she approve it and go, because education is knowledge. And this is the first time attendees with the National League of Cities.
Our thinking at the time we set the ordinance with the existing list of pre-approved training was that those are pretty routine, pretty standard, with clear benefit to the taxpayers of the city. Anything beyond that, we wanted it to come before an open meeting such as this, so that council members can explain why this is a benefit to the citizens of the city. So that's where we are right now. So anybody who wants to go, I'd like to hear why they think this is a benefit to the citizens of the city, because a National League of Cities Summit is not the same as what we have with our training with GMA when we take those classes. It's a kind of it's really a different type of gathering. So when we take training, for example, in a couple of weeks, I'm taking a training in municipal finance too. That my understanding of that makes me a better council member. This is not that kind of training where it gives us the tools to deal with what we have in our jobs. So that's why we bring it before an open meeting for approval. Doesn't mean we're not going to vote to approve it. It just gives the citizens an opportunity to hear from the elected officials why they think this is beneficial.
Yeah, I think it's subjective, whether you think it's beneficial or not. It's up to the individual. If you look at the classes and see what they offer, economic development, public health and safety, energy, environmental, housing, education, youth development, it just depends on the person. So it's up to whomever thinks is beneficial to them. If their training budget is $5,000 and it's within the training budget, inclusive of GMA, they're not saying I'm not going to GMA and opt to go to National League of Cities. It's well within the budget and the GMA training. But it's open for discussion, and that's just a recommendation, Mr. Chairman, and we can bring it to committees and have a discussion about it. In the city, whatever council decides, then that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, could I add a comment?
Sure.
I believe that the reason and I may be dittoing Mr. Siegel's suggestion there, I believe the reason that...
Or reading my mind.
No, sir, I won't claim that. I believe the reason that this was something that was, I will say, automatically approved or included in the mayor's group of approved training sessions or attendance was that in order to have transparency and to be fiscally responsible with the citizens' money, we were dedicating one person to attend on behalf of the city rather than this being something that each and every one of the elected officials could potentially attend at the expense of the city. And so I appreciate the interest in others attending if that's what they are able to do and would like to do. But I want to make sure that we realize and remember that we have a transparency issue that we need to uphold also. And so I think it is necessary, since the ordinance gives you, the mayor, the opportunity to do that, inclusive in your business expense and in your training budget. I'm not sure what type of training would be beneficial for city council level that may be beneficial for the mayor. So I would tend to lean more toward, let's continue to get it approved in an open meeting. If it's something that city council person can justify spending the citizens' money, and if not, then we would not approve it. But I do appreciate the opportunity to speak upon that item, and that would be my feeling on it. Thank you.
Do we know how many council members have indicated a desire to attend?
At this time, it's been Councilman Davis and Councilwoman LaShawn Danley.
Thank you.
And what type of expense is this?
I would have to probably email that to you. I know the clerk's office has been working on potential registration. We would have to apply for first-time attendees registration cost. Of course, it would be lodging in Charlotte, and then depending upon the mode of transportation, Charlotte is fairly close. I mean, some people might opt to drive to Charlotte. And then, of course, there'd be lodging as well. So based on the proximity, I would say it would probably be very similar to what we spend for a GMA training conference, but I can email you the exact totals tomorrow.
I guess whenever you get together with other cities, whether it's local cities within the state or cities outside the state, you get a feel for what's going on in different regions of the United States and how they're dealing with certain problems that they have, and it's always a good idea or a good feel to get other people's ideas and feelings for what is going on in their communities and how they're handling them, and and looking at the list, that's pretty much what they're going to be doing is going through this type of stuff, and so anytime that it's going to come out of their budgeted item, their training budget, so which we already have approved. I think it's what, 5,000. I think we have
7,000 for council members and
7,000,
a little bit more for the mayor.
So, but bring it to the city council, so we know where you're going and what you expect to get out of it, and but anytime you get together with this is called networking also, and so this is good stuff. So it makes you a well-rounded city council member.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, GMA is Georgia Municipal Association. This is you're getting outside of the state. It's the National League of Cities. So beyond just the state of Georgia, to be exposed to other cities and other municipalities all over the country.
This item will be on your agenda for Monday to vote on. If it is approved, this item would allow for any council member that wishes to attend the training to be able to have the ability to do so.
And the next item that is on the agenda, I'm going to fill you in for what it was, okay, that we're going to, that we're going to have to pay for here. The mayor was out of town, and either out of town or double booked on some classes that she had to take. So she asked me to, would I like to go to Washington, D.C. on what they call a fly-in, and it's with the Chamber of Commerce. And so I said, sure, I'd love to go in her place. And since she was double booked, and to let everyone know what happened down there is, or up there, I met with well, I'm trying to give you an idea why you're approving this money, okay? And yes, you're going to read it before we discuss it.
And then you can discuss.
Okay, you can do it that way too.
Well, you're about to discuss it, that's why I say that.
Okay.
G, approved payment of $1,281.95 as travel expenses for the Mayor Pro Tempore's attendance at the Douglas County Chamber of Commerce's 2017 Chairman's Club DC Fly-In, held September 5th through September 7th, 2017.
Okay, thank you. So anyways, there were 16 or 17 of us that went up there from the Chamber of Commerce, and it was the people were all local, either business people and also chamber members. And along with that, we had 3 meetings set up, one for 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30 on Wednesday. We flew on yes, it's a fly-in. You fly in on Tuesday, you have meetings all day on Wednesday, and then you fly back on Thursday. So our first meeting in the morning was at 9:30, and we met with our Senator Johnny Isakson, and first time I ever met the gentleman, and he is a very nice gentleman, and the reason why the Chamber of Commerce, we have to go with something, and the thing that we went with is what was the key thing that we really wanted to kind of like, they needed to focus in on, and what it was the I-20 285 corridor, which is horrible, okay, traffic-wise, with trucks and cars, and so it's something that it would work for the entire area, and so that's what we focused in on, and also we focused in on working together. Washington, D.C. worked together, and so we met with Mr. Isaacson, took some pictures, and then off we went. If you've never been in Washington, D.C., it's quite a city, and everything, there's a lot below ground that you don't see, and so going from the Senate building to the House of Representatives building and back, it was I have one of those watches, a Fitbit watch, to tell how many steps we took, and I think we took like about 6,000 steps in that 3 hours time frame. But our next meeting was with Congressman David Scott, and we gave him the same information. We want you to focus in on the I-20 corridor with 285, and to make sure that is on your list. We know that President Trump wants to work on infrastructure items, and this would be an infrastructure item. So. We met with David Scott, got a lengthy conversation into the Highway 92, an update on it, and so we went from there, and since our conversation was so long, we missed David Perdue because he had to go to another meeting, and so we end up having to talk with his assistant. And it was very interesting to be able to talk to him, and we also told him to focus in on working together up there, and also the I-20 and 285 corridor. So that was pretty much the day, and then in the morning, and then the afternoon we went into a conference. It's a forum with the AT&T, and there was also a Georgia Chamber program at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and met several people there with the Trump administration, and so it was a full day. And that's all I can say is they eat a lot up there, okay, and they meet a lot, and so we also got to get into the AT&T's forum, which is a brand new building that they built in Washington D.C. and a very nice building, and but the trip was well worth the $1,281.95, and it was a very interesting and a memorable experience to go up there and be a part of that whole Chamber of Commerce group. So it was a nice event, and that's all I have.
Thank you. So just like the National League of Cities, this is an item that's on the mayor's pre-approved list, but it's not on the pre-approved list for a council member, and that's why it's coming to the council to vote to approve it, even though it's not beforehand, it's after the fact.
Correct. And now that the Mayor Pro Tem has mentioned the history of the item, I would just ask if you would recuse yourself before the council does further discussion. I know that you signed a conflict letter with the clerk's office.
Yes, I did.
If you don't mind.
Chair, Vice Chair, question I guess I would have is, would these monies be spent then out of the mayor's travel budget? Is that how this would be paid for? Since she had requested that he attend in her absence, is that the way to properly spend those funds? That's just a question.
From a staff perspective, this line item has always been budgeted in the mayor's budget, as far as I know, even prior to us having individualized budgets per elected official. It's always been something that's been in the mayor's line item. Really, it's a decision amongst you all. Ms. Callen, I think you will agree that it's just a matter of transferring funds from one individual's training line item to the other. So it really would be at your discretion, and we'll follow whatever direction you all tell us.
Either way, I don't think either budget line item is going to go over budget, regardless of where this comes out of. Do you think? I know Mr. Yaki is only going to be here a few more months, but his replacement will then step into that budgeted line item.
I would definitely predict that if it's in the Mayor Pro Tem's budgeted line item for training, that it would not go over budget. And I would just say from a staff perspective as it relates to the ordinance, this is one of those things that, to be quite frankly with you, when the mayor mentioned that she would like to assign the Mayor Pro Tem to go on her behalf, in the back of my mind, I actually thought that the mayor had that ability per the ordinance to allow for someone to go in her place, but the ordinance does not specify that. So moving forward, when the mayor does assign someone to go in her place, and even if it is the Mayor Pro Tem, if it's not on that assigned list, the chamber being one of those things that is approved for her, we will be coming before you to have that approval to allow for the Mayor Pro Tem or anyone she designates on her behalf to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Siegel.
So the city has already incurred the expense, so if the council for some reason voted against the approval, then that causes an issue, for this. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Correct.
Anyone else with comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice Chair. Just in addition to the conversation, this really is an addendum to the previous item about approved training. I'll just say, when I was on city council, Mayor Thompson couldn't attend the chamber fly-in, and it's an annual meeting because you have an opportunity to sit with your United States congressmen and United States senators to barter and bring forth the issues that are important to your community. That I attended for him. It wasn't a pre-approved, the mayor couldn't go, so he asked me to go. There were other opportunities, Citizen of the Year, he couldn't attend, so it just did not. I apologize for the clumsiness in this coming to the council now, but it just didn't occur to me that it was an issue. That's why you have a Mayor Pro Tem. If you can't attend, then you have the person go in your stead. I did not want to miss the opportunity for the city to be represented in Washington, D.C., so I asked the Mayor Pro Tem. And my conflict was, I'm on the Georgia Municipal Association Training Board for training for all the elected officials in the state of Georgia, and I've had other council meetings, could not attend. This was my last opportunity before getting kicked off the board. You can only miss so many training days. And so we had items to approve for training for all of the elected officials in the state, and I needed to attend that training, so I could not go to the fly-in. So that's the reason for that. And I really would like for us to, if we're going to look in training, when we look at item F about pre-approved list, if I could, be able to assign someone to go in my stead and not have it to be approved by the council. If I can't go to a groundbreaking, if I, do we have to have it approved if there's a dollar amount associated with it and it's not on the training list? That just is nonsensical to me. So, but it's whatever the council decides.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. If not, then we will take this up on Monday. No other business under finance. If somebody can let Mr. Yaki back in. Oh, there he is.
He's coming in. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Siegel and Mayor Pro Tem Yaki, for handling that committee. We'll go on to information and technology, and that is chaired by Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Oh, hey, that is me. I do have one item. Authorize the mayor to sign an Amendment 2 to the Wi-Fi Network Grant Agreement and Amendment 1 to the Wi-Fi Promotion Agreement with Google Incorporated to extend the term of parties' agreements for the Google Gravity Games and to provide for upgrade of the city's downtown Wi-Fi system at the expense of Google Incorporated. We have Nathan Todd here. Could you please start with the Wi-Fi part?
So what you have here is an amendment to our existing
Name
agreement.
and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir, I apologize. Nathan Todd, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. The main portion of this is an amendment to the agreement we currently have with Google for our public Wi-Fi network that is here in the downtown and at Hunter Park and Davis Park. The large portion of this amendment will allow for the updating of equipment in the downtown public Wi-Fi network. As I believe the exact number is close to 70,000 that is given to us within 30 days of signing the agreement. There is already a contractor and plan in place that will replace the Wi-Fi hotspots in the downtown area here, as well as add a few extras. We do expect this is just the first year that we will get this. They want to go ahead and upgrade the Wi-Fi network both at Hunter and Davis and possibly expand to some of our other public areas, but they can only give us so much in a year.
So they will give us the money, which we will then use to purchase the equipment with their selected vendor.
Correct. This is very similar to the first agreement we had. With that agreement, it was pretty much all planned out by Google. They picked the contractor and the equipment that would fulfill the plan they picked the contractor. Contractor came up with a plan that would expend all of the money in the most effective way. Now they've picked another contractor and already have another plan to replace the equipment that we've had that has not been so great with something that they expect to work better. The contractor we've got has worked with several other cities up and down the East Coast for Google and has got other Wi-Fi networks that they're very pleased with.
If you look in your attachments on page 3, you'll see the estimate for all the equipment that would be acquired and placed. And if you read through that and understand what all that is, then you should be the chairman of this committee because it's all Greek to me. Any comments or questions on that part before we get to the Gravity Games part?
I do have a quick question, Mr. Chairman. It's in downtown, or is it in Jesse Davis Park?
This portion is strictly the downtown. If you look at page 4 of your packet there, of this item, you see red dots there on the map. Those are the existing access points, and there's 3 more that will be added. One down at the old police building, and one further on down the hill, mainly for Gravity Games, and then another down here at the Chamber of Commerce to kind of fill in this parking lot and portion of Plaza West there behind the stage and everything.
Okay. Is there a timeline to upgrade the Wi-Fi at Alice Hawthorne?
Not at the moment, no ma'am. As I said, this just covers this portion with the Google grant. We do have some money in the budget this year to update hotspots, but in all honesty, with the most recent fix we've had, we've not had complaints about Jesse Davis's or Alice Hawthorne Center's Wi-Fi at all.
This is recently, like, within the, how long?
Within the past month or two, I believe.
Okay, great, month. A couple of months ago was kind of slow. That's good to hear. I'm behind.
Now, the other part of this item has to do with the Google Gravity Games. We don't have anything in our attachment that talks about that, so who has information?
I will ask Ms. Jackson to come up to talk about the Google Gravity Games.
Suffering from allergies. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. The Google Gravity Games will be held November 4th this year. It will be in the same area, downtown area. They are adding one portion called Science Drive. It will feature professors and other fun things and items from Georgia Tech, as well as it will also have the gravity games and race cars that day. I will come before you in the upcoming weeks once we get a contract from Google to announce more things, but since we don't have a contract from them yet, then we haven't made an official announcement. But it will be held on November 4th of this year.
So the part of our item that says to extend the term for the Google Gravity Games, do we actually have that to vote on, or do we need to change this item for Monday?
I would have to discuss with legal. Ms. Littlefield wrote the item based on what was in the agreement that was presented to us by Google. So before I make that statement, I'd have to discuss with legal, and she will be back by Monday night.
So this won't go on the consent agenda then, because just in case there are changes made to it. Any other comments or questions from Mayor or Council? All right, that's all we have under Information Technology, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siegel. We'll move on to Maintenance and Sanitation. Vice Chair, Councilmember Mark Adams.
No business, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Transportation Committee, Vice Chair, Councilman Sam Davis. You have a couple of items.
We have a couple of items. Authorize the mayor to sign a contract with the select firm for construction of the city 2016 LMIG road resurfacing project.
Yes, sir. We had a bid opening on this past Tuesday, and if you can see per your attachment for the first item, the bid totals are represented, showing the lowest bidder. Mr. Greg Roberts will be here on Monday to discuss these bids with you, but typically in this process we would be going with the lowest bidder, so you will see the name of that individual read into the item on Monday night for you all to vote on.
Okay, thank you. We just put it on the agenda for Monday night to discuss. Okay, we'll move on to item B. Authorize the mayor to sign a contract with select firm for construction of the city 2017 LMIG road resurfacing project.
This would be the same as the previous item that you read. Both projects would be completed this fall. And again, on your item for Monday night, you will see the name of the lowest bidder written into the wording for you all to take action on Monday night.
Okay, thank you. Madam Mayor, I would like to put this on the agenda for Monday night for further discussions. Thank you. That's all I have.
Does that mean, did you really say that these streets are going to be resurfaced this fall?
And these are for your LMIG projects, not your SPLOST. Your SPLOST is coming up.
Got it.
But something's going to be resurfaced. Yes. Yes.
Yes, there will be resurfacing work happening this fall and next spring.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign contracts with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Georgia Incorporated, Humana Medical Plans Incorporated, Emeritus Life Insurance Corporation, iMed Vision Care LLC, Hartford Life Insurance Company, American Family Life Assurance Company, and Total Administrative Services Corporation to provide city-sponsored insurance benefits to eligible current and retired employees, elected officials, and their dependents for calendar 2018. Ms. Alston, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Tia Alston, City of Douglasville, Human Resources, 6695 Church Street. This item before you includes an attachment of the resolution that recommends our 2018 plan year for health benefits. On September the 5th, Shaw Hankins came before you with our recommendations for our health care plans for 2018. As stated, the recommendation is to remain with Blue Cross and Blue Shield for our health insurance for all of our employees, retirees, elected officials, and their dependents, as well as the other stated health care companies for our dental, medical, life insurance, and disability. Also stated is our health reimbursement arrangement, the reimbursement amount, as well as the city contributions to our healthcare plans and employee deductions are also included in this resolution. So these are our recommendations to you. As we get ready for open enrollment for October, we will want to make sure that we include this information that we'll put out to our employees in the memo of what our recommendations are for 2018.
Comments or questions from Mayor and Council? No? Well, then if there's no objections, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday evening. Thank you, Ms. Alston. No other items, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Siegel. We'll move on to Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee. The chair and vice chair are not in, so we'll have a committee member, Mayor Pro Tem Larry Yockey, handle the items, please, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you.
Adopt an ordinance to amend Section 6.30 of the city charter to raise to $25,000 the amount for which the city manager may contract on behalf of the city.
Yes, sir. This relates to the item that was read in the ordinance change in the Finance Committee. This is another one of our required times that you all have to vote on changing the charter to increase the limit. This just reflects the change that you all discussed to $25,000.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, or
Yes.
Mr. Committee Member,
Mm-hmm.
Acting Chairman. Just want to point out, we have voted on this once. Charter changes require 2 votes at consecutive voting meetings from council members. So with an affirmative vote on Monday, it would actually then enact this change to the charter.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, the next item, adopt an ordinance repealing ordinance OR9, ORD, I'm sorry, 2017-56 being authorization for the Douglas County Board of Elections to conduct city elections and rescind the city's council, rescind the council's August 21st, 2017 approval of agenda item 29-17-13, authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement for that purpose due to the fact that all candidates for 2017 city general election are unopposed.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On August the 21st, you guys approved an ordinance that would give the Douglas County Board of Elections the ability to conduct our elections, and it would also allow the mayor to sign a contract with them. Because there were no candidates, all the candidates were unopposed, so we will not have an election. So this ordinance now would repeal that ordinance that was approved August 21st, and it would rescind that approval of the mayor to sign that agreement.
Along with that, is there a cost associated with this?
It would be a savings for us,
Okay.
almost $10,000.
Okay, so the city saved $10,000 by having an unopposed election.
Yes.
It probably cost Villarica more because part of the shared cost was split between the 2 cities, and now they have to bear the entire cost of the Douglas County part. So, sorry.
Okay. Very good. I guess what we can do is put that on the consent agenda.
I just want to make
Yes,
one comment.
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, no problem, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. It was explained to me by the Chief Assistant City Attorney, Attorney Littlefield, that state law requires you to enact this, that you can't have an election if it's unopposed. And people were asking me, and I didn't understand, because Mr. Terry Miller, we're going to have 2 Councilman Millers, because you aren't running again for your seat, that Mr. Miller essentially having qualified voted for himself. And so essentially we don't have any opposition for any of the seats, And the state requires you not to have an election if you have unopposed. So you couldn't have an election if you wanted to because it's against state law if you have unopposed candidates.
Right, the unopposed candidates for all 4 of those seats are deemed to have voted for themselves. It's
Yes,
not just
yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wilson.
Yeah, but I was saying that because they're incumbents that are in the seats, and then there was
Makes
a
no
person who,
So our assumption is they're going to vote for themselves.
yes,
State law says that they are deemed to have voted for
for
themselves.
themselves
So
when they qualified.
basically, it's a 1-0 election.
Gotcha.
You would vote for yourself, Mr. Davis? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so thank you. I just wanted to, because citizens did ask me, based on the article that was in the paper, and how we weren't going to have an election, and I said, ask Ms. Littlefield, and that was the explanation.
Very
So,
good.
thank you.
That's something, we learn something new every day. So, very good. I'm going to have this is going to be on the consent agenda, okay? The next item is adopt an ordinance to amend the city's charter section 209 to eliminate the reference to deputy city clerk in the definition of adjunct appointee.
As mentioned to you in committee meetings a few weeks ago, it is staff's recommendation that we actually have a position that is deputy city clerk within the city versus an adjunct appointee as identified in the city's charter, which is just a designation that's given to an employee that has another role within the city. This charter change would allow for us to remove and eliminate deputy city clerk from those references in the charter and allow us to then create a position which would be considered deputy city clerk, which is a role that can be filled by an employee and not just an adjunct title that's added to another employee at the city. It is a charter change, so it requires a series of votes, just like with the change to the signing authority for the city manager. So this is one of the required times that you will see it on your agenda to vote on as it relates to changing the city's charter.
This would be the first vote, and then the next voting meeting would be the second vote.
Okay. And this could go on the consent agenda also then, if no one has a problem with it. It doesn't look like I have a problem, so we'll put that one on the consent agenda also. All right, that's all we have for Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, for handling those items for us. We'll move on to Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other business to come before council tonight from council members? Thank you.
I just want to say I'm thrilled with the job that our police department did and our maintenance and sanitation during the weather event that we had. I think the fact that there was so little issues is a testament to the great work that they did.
Sir, thank you so much, and kudos to them as well. We'll move on. City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Littlefield, is in training, getting smarter, so she wouldn't have any comments at this time. Chief of Police, Chief Gary Sparks. Thank you so much, and thank you, Chief. I called you during the storms, and you were out at the command center at 9/11 or doing 911 or doing something. You were busy, so thank you for your diligence. We appreciate that. City Manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank you all for your patience during the interviews today. We do have just a few more on Monday. And again, thank you all for the process, your participation in our planning process. I know we're giving you a lot and there's a lot going on, but I have no doubt that at the end of the process, the city will be much better with all of the planning efforts that we're putting forth moving forward. On Monday night, your committee meetings will start at your regular time that you're accustomed to, which is 5 p.m. On the 18th. And then on that following Tuesday, the mayor has a town hall meeting, so I will allow her to have what comments that she would like to state about those. This is the first of 2 town hall meetings that she has planned. We have Travis Landrum, who's going to come up and give a few words about the West Pines grand opening this week, and he will do that following the staff reports with the other employees as well.
Thank you so much, Madam City Manager. Again, we do have town hall meetings. The 19th is next Tuesday. The first one will be held at, this one, Hunter Park or Alice Hawthorne? I'm getting confused. Alice Hawthorne, and then Hunter Park. And we have another one scheduled for Arbor Place Mall later in the fall. But just we'll give a report on different departments in the city and open up questions for citizens to come and be able to ask me anything they'd like. So just excited to be accessible to the community. Okay, comments from citizens and delegates. Now the floor is open for anyone who's left in the audience. You've endured and you have something burning on your heart to say. We would love to have you come to the podium and give your name and address for the record, and we'd like to hear from you. Are there any comments from citizens and delegates? Okay. Mr. Landrum, were you going to say something about parks? Did you say that, City Manager? We'll talk about West Pines, and then we'll have staff reports after that.
Good evening, Travis Landrum, 8830 Gurley Road, Douglasville, Georgia. Just wanted to come and do a plug-in for the West Pines reopening out at West Pines this Saturday, September 16th. Wanted to invite everybody to come out. The highlights of the event for that day will be between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. We'll have a food truck on site for those who want to come out. Uptown Food Truck will be on site serving, and then we'll have some of the industry's top companies out doing some custom fittings. So we just wanted to do a plug to invite the community to come out and look at what we've done. The two highlights, of course, projects being while we closed were the conversions from the Bermuda Greens to the Bermuda Greens from the bent saw grass, and then of course the remodeling at the pro shop. So if you had the opportunity, please come out and join us and get some custom fittings for golf. So
beautiful. The pro shop is nice too.
Thank you.
Now it looks really different. It's really, really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Landrum. We have staff reports, and A and B are both Councilmember Richard Siegel. So, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind handling your committees.
I don't mind at all. First one, we have Chandler Think's representative to present an update on the citywide branding study.
Hello, Steve Chandler, if I did this right. Steve Chandler, I know my address, 200 Main Street, historic Franklin, Tennessee.
Thank you.
You've been Franklin. It's very nice. Yeah.
Very nice. So thrilled to be back. This is our team's second trip here. I think we actually had some discussions on one-on-one nature with some people today that I'm looking at. Heard they went well. Our team started this project. I'm going to give you a kind of report of where we stand on things. First of all, we're thrilled to be working with the city of Douglasville for a city branding initiative. Very, very important to be unified, have some consistency with your voice, to establish an identity. So when you sell Douglasville, you sell it with fantastic pride and fervor, and that's what we're set out to do. And our process is really, I know you all saw the presentation and the proposal when it was submitted. The quick note reminder to those listening is our goal and our process is based on input from the community and at all different levels. And so that's what we're engaging in now. So our team began about 3 weeks ago, a little over 3 weeks ago, I'd say. We came in and we've conducted many interviews with staff, and kind of focusing on internal assets and communication tools that have been in place and have been deployed within all the city departments. So evaluating and analyzing that has begun. This week, we're extending a little bit beyond the walls of just the city. You all have a unique branding challenge and luxury and responsibility in that you're not just an organization, an entity called the City of Douglasville. You're also a place that many people call home. And so you don't own your brand. You share it with all the residents. Makes it a tough branding challenge, and that's why our process does what it does. So we start inside out, but also, of course, go out to the community. So we're starting that process this week with some group discussions outside the community, business owners, people in the arts community, the chamber, and a lot of different areas have been involved this week in those discussions. So we've been touring and seeing a lot of the different community. We've also been conducting what we kind of call intercept interviews, kind of mystery shoppers. We speak to people at the front desk of your hotels and act like we're interested in moving to the area. What do they say and how do they endorse your community? So we're doing things like that in short. over the next several weeks. We'll be leaving tomorrow. We have to finish some interviews and some discussions, some group discussions tomorrow. We'll go back home, but over the next several weeks, we will be deploying an employee survey, a community-wide survey, very important, because it'll allow any resident in the city of Douglasville to give their 2 cents worth, and we think that's very important. Of what they think about Douglasville, why it's so great, what its assets are, what they're proud of, and even the challenges that need to be addressed as we try to have a unified voice for our community. So that will be deployed. And we will also be doing some research where we're going just outside of Douglasville to find out what do other people think about us and what is our reputation. So a lot more research to go and a bunch of data crunching that you would expect us to do and looking at your online footprint and what people say about Douglasville online, which does take place. So we'll be doing all that. I expect I'll probably be back in front of you in a couple of months with the results of all of that information. What did we find out? And more importantly, where do we take it from here? So that's kind of where we are on the project. We're excited to be working with you for this initiative, and I appreciate it. Are there any questions?
You want to introduce your associates that you have with you?
Thank you so much. It was so rude of me not to do so. I appreciate that. Yes, indeedy, because you all have met them. Our quick little nod or little stand-up dudes. Greg Fuson's our director of research, and Kevin Endries is our creative director and also a strategist. So I know you all have met some of them, and many other people have in the community as well. So Michaela Markart is also a part of our team. Was with us on the last trip. She is in Austria right now visiting Mama, but we have a few other people on our team that have been here as well and part of the effort. So we appreciate it again and glad to be doing it.
Comments or questions from Mayor and Council? Great.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I must ask, what's wrong with the elbow?
Golf. It's a tennis elbow.
It was A, steer wrestling at the Franklin Rodeo last month. B, I jumped off a boat with some friends on the middle of a lake. Or C, I participated in Titans training camp.
C.
Yeah, it was B. I was on a boat.
Almost on a boat.
Actually, I was off a boat, and that's where I was on it, and then quickly went off the boat, and that's where it happened.
I was hoping it would be A, okay?
Right, yeah, I know, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have another item for personal
I do have another item. Staff report concerning human resources upcoming events. October 2nd, Pink Party of the Parking Deck and Pink Party on the Parking Deck
It's a tongue
in
twister.
honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month and October 9th, Annual Employee Appreciation Day at Hunter Park. Please give us some insight on these, Ms. Alston.
Absolutely. Tia Alston again, 6695 Church Street, Human Resources, City of Douglasville. So we invite you all and all of our employees out to our annual celebration of hope, breast cancer awareness. We do this every year. This year, again, we will be partnering with Susan G. Komen. They will be on site with us to celebrate our pink party on the parking deck. At the parking deck.
It is a tongue twister.
It really is. But we are excited. Our Human Resources Department, along with our other Wellness Committee volunteers and anyone else who wants to volunteer, will be washing cars on the top level of the parking deck for a small donation to Susan G. Komen. They will be here to collect that as well. It will be a party because we'll have music, we'll have food, fun, games, and I myself will be washing cars. So exterior only. We will not be entering any cars, but we're excited about this. This is something different that we wanted to do to raise money for awareness. So we invite you to come out from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on October the 2nd, top level of the parking deck.
My car is dirty.
Your car is dirty?
It is.
We'll take it.
I better come out there.
We will take it.
I'll make sure my car's dirty.
Okay. Don't work us too hard, Mayor Pro Tem. Our second event to mention is our annual Employee Appreciation Day. This is Paradise in the Park, all these P's. It will be at Hunter Park on Monday, October the 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you're available to come out, if I say P one more time and this makes that noise, sorry. We invite you to come out and celebrate with us and our employees. This is our annual event where we recognize the hard work that our employees have put in for the city of Douglasville. We will have an interesting entertainment component this year. So I suggest that you stop by to see what that is. Our theme, if you can kind of guess, Paradise in the Park, will be a Hawaiian theme. So we just invite everybody to come out and fellowship with us and see those employees and tell them thank you for all of their hard work. So those are our October events. We will have another staff report for you in a couple weeks for more October events, but that's enough for tonight.
We actually appreciate our employees every day, but
Absolutely.
if we did an appreciation event every day, it wouldn't be as special.
No, that's true. That one time of the year where everybody gets together, so.
Comments from mayor and council?
The time again for the October 9th?
October 9th is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And the one for the 2nd is also 10 to
10 a.m. to 1.
10 to 1?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Coach Watts, were you asking a question?
Councilmember Watts, it was the
Yep.
time.
That was it? Okay.
See everybody punching it into their calendars, so that's a good thing.
Yes, please come out if you can. We appreciate the support.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't see any other staff reports.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Any other business to come before council? If not, this meeting is adjourned.